So stability comparison between small and large rating synchronous machines. So we know that in the previous class we have studied swing equation where m into d square delta of t divided by dt square is given by PA, where PA is the accelerating power on the rotor shaft. Okay. Now, m is the rotor angular momentum, or the other name is inertia constant of the rotor. Okay. So d square delta by dt square is the acceleration of the rotor with respect to stator magnetic field. Okay. So now what I can write, this acceleration is given by what? D square delta of t by dt square. I can write it as PA divided by m. PA divided by m. Understand? So for a disturbance, for a particular disturbance, your PA is fixed. So for a fixed value of PA, the acceleration made by the rotor is inversely proportional to the angular momentum of the rotor, which implies the rotor acceleration for a particular disturbance is inversely proportional to angular momentum. Okay, so lesser is the rotor acceleration, that means lesser is the rotor acceleration for a particular disturbance or a fault, greater is the chances of retaining stability. So for a particular fault, the rotor acceleration for a particular disturbance is inversely proportional to angular momentum of rotor. That means lesser is the rotor acceleration for a fault, greater is the chances of retaining stability. That means the machines having higher m value angular momentum, machines that are having higher angular momentum, higher m value, undergoes less rotor acceleration for a particular disturbance. That means the machines that are having higher m value are having greater chances of remaining stable. Okay. Again, we also know what is the other day we have seen m is equals to sh by pi f. Okay. So m, which implies m value is directly proportional to s, rating of the machines. Understand? So the machines which are having a larger MVA rating has more angular momentum or inertia constant when compared to machines that are having smaller MVA ratings. That's why we always, in a generating station, we always prefer larger machines, that is 250 MVA machine, 500 MVA machine, because they are having huge rotors whose angular momentum is also high. So whenever a disturbance occurs, they have more capacity to withstand that disturbance. Understand? So machines with larger rating has more stability than machines with lower MVA rating. Understand? That is the conclusion. Sorry for that. Okay, so this is the concept. So if someone asks you a question, which machine is having more stability for a particular disturbance, then you can clearly say the machine that is having more MVA rating is having a greater stability when compared to machines with lesser MVA rating. Okay. Next, coherent operation of two synchronous machines. Coherent operations, or in other words, they are called as two machines are swinging together. Okay. So two synchronous machines running in parallel are said to be swinging together if they share the sudden disturbance of load in proportion to their machine ratings. Understand? When two machines share the disturbance, the amplitude of oscillations made by two machines is less and both machines may retain stability. So here, for understanding this, let us assume there are two machines that are running in parallel, meeting a certain load, Suppose the rating of this machine is 200 MVA and this is 100 MVA machine. So ideally, let us assume it is supplying 150 megawatt. So out of these two machines, initially let us assume it is supplying 100 megawatt and this machine is supplying 50 megawatt. Okay, so both machines are running fine, no issue. Suppose suddenly a disturbance comes, a disturbance that is adding 30 megawatt sudden load. 30 megawatt sudden load. So if this sudden disturbance or sudden load disturbance, if it is shared by two machines in proportion to their ratings. So out of this 30 megawatt, suppose this machine supplies a 20 megawatt and this machine supplies 10 megawatt. Sudden disturbance came and suddenly they are sharing the load. Then we say that the two machines are running in coherence. We say that the two machines are running in coherence. Understand? So, or the two machines are swinging together, When the two machines are swinging together, the angle between the stator magnetic field and rotor magnetic field, that is same for both machines. So the delta value is same for both machines when they are running in coherence. Okay. So it is an angle between stator magnetic field and rotor magnetic field. Rotor magnetic field and rotor are in sync. So the delta value for two machines is same when they are running in coherence, that we can write delta 1 is equals to delta 2 equal to delta. Okay. So when two machines are running in coherence, we can treat it as a single machine. We can equivalently treat this machine as a single machine, which implies we can treat this machine as a single machine that is taking care of this load when they are running in synchronism. Now, the angular momentum of two machines we can directly add. When they are running in together, M equivalent will become M1 plus M2. Okay, so we can treat this is a machine whose M equivalent is this one, which is supplying the load. We can treat this two machine system as a single machine system. So when the two machines are running in coherence or swinging together, then their equivalent angular momentum is given by addition of individual angular momentums. So if because M is equals to what? SH by pi f. Since M is equals to SH by pi f, if two coherent machines have same MVA rating, then what I can write? I can also write that H equivalent is equals to H1 plus H2. I can write H equivalent is equals to H1 plus H2. Okay. So that is the concept. So when the two machines are swinging together, what importantly you have to remember 3 points. One is the delta values are same. The M equivalent is given by M1 plus M2. If the machine ratings are same, if machine MVA ratings are same, then H equivalent is given by H1 plus H2. Understand? So when the two machines share the disturbance, the amplitude of oscillations made by two machines is less and both machines may retain the stability. When the two synchronous machines which are running in parallel, they operate in coherence, the chances of retaining stability are high for a disturbance. The next point is non-coherent operation or not swinging of two machines. So two synchronous machines running in parallel are said to be not swinging together if for a sudden disturbance of load, only one machine is responding and the other machine is not responding. So whenever there is a sudden disturbance, that sudden disturbance is taken up by only one machine, the other machine did not respond. Such an operation is called coherent operation. So a non-coherent operation. When two machines are non-coherent, then definitely the amplitude of oscillations made by the machine that is taking the total disturbance is more, and subsequently the machine which has taken the load will lose the stability, and after that the second machine also will lose the stability. Understand? So if only one machine responds to a sudden disturbance, the other machine does not respond, then the chances of both machines losing stability are more. Understand? So here again, if I take two machines, let us take the same example. The total load is 150 megawatt. So initially they are supplying 100 megawatt and this machine is supplying 50 megawatt. So if a sudden disturbance of 30 megawatt comes, then only this machine is taking all the 30 megawatt, whereas this machine is not at all responding. Then we say that the two machines are not in coherence operation. Then in this case, what will happen? So let us not go into the derivation part. We can directly write the angular momentum, the equivalent angular momentum is given by 1 over m1 plus 1 over m2. 1 over m equivalent will become 1 over m1 plus 1 over m2, which implies m equivalent will become in this case m1 m2 divided by m1 plus m2. Okay, so we can treat when the two machines are not swinging together as a single machine, which is having m equivalent value. So here the overall angular momentum of the two machines is getting reduced. So if m equivalent value reduces, then what will happen? The oscillations made by their respective rotors will be very high, and the chances of that both machines the chances of losing stability of more for both the machines. Understand? So again, here also, if both machines have same MVA rating, then H equivalent will become H1 H2 divided by H1 plus H2. Okay, that is this one. Okay, so these are the two extreme cases which we have learned. One is completely swinging together, and this case is completely not swinging together. The practical operation will be somewhere in between. Practical operation of the two parallel running machines will be somewhere in between. Okay, that is the context. The next is, if the machines are having different MVA ratings, then what we will do? So for example, let us say machine 1, first machine is having, so the machine 1 is having a MVA rating of, let us say, S1, inertia constant of, say, H1, then machine 2 machine 2 is having MVA rating of S2 and inertia constant of H2. Now both the machines are having different MVA ratings. Then how we can calculate the H equivalent? How do we calculate the H equivalent? Okay. So in this case, let SB be the common base MVA that we choose. Then H1 new will become, the new inertia constant on the base SB will become S1 H1 divided by S base. H2 new will become S2 H2 divided by S base. Now we can write H equivalent will become H1 new plus H2 new when machines are in coherent operation. That means both are swinging together. Then your H equivalent value will become H1 new plus H2 new, and H equivalent value will become H1 new into H2 new divided by H1 new plus H2 new when machines are in non-coherent operation. That means when they are not swinging together. Understand? So when the machines are having different MVA rating, to calculate H equivalent, equivalent inertia constant. So we will choose one common base MVA, S base, and on that common base MVA we'll calculate the H1 new, H2 new, and depending upon how the machines are operating, we'll calculate the H equivalent. Okay. So two identical synchronous machines having same inertia constant are connected in parallel and swinging together. Okay, two identical synchronous machines having same inertia constant are connected in parallel and swinging together. The effective inertia constant is 4 megajoules per MVA. Then each machine is having the inertia constant of. That is the question. See, megajoule per MVA is the unit for which inertia constant H. So the two machines are swinging together. Their H equivalent value is given by 4 megajoules per MVA. And how they are swinging together? So H equivalent will become H1 plus H2. And what he said, both are identical machines, which implies H1 is equals to H2. So I can write this H equivalent as 2H1 or 2H2. So from this value is equals to 4 megajoules per MVA. So then H1 equal to H2 equal to how much? 2 megajoules per MVA. Very simple, straightforward question. But you should know all these words. That is important. Understand? Now the second question is, for a 400 megajoule stored energy in the rotor at synchronous speed, what is the inertia constant H for 50 Hertz 4-pole turbo generated rated 100 MVA? So what he's telling, the kinetic energy stored in the rotor, at synchronous speed is how much? at a synchronous speed is 800 megajoules. Okay. The MVA rating of the machine is S value is how much? 100 MVA. Okay. Now it is very simple. What he's asking H value of the machine. What is the H value of machine? So if you remember the fundamental definition of H is defined as kinetic energy stored in the rotor at synchronous speed divided by MVA rating. So SH is equals to product of S into H is equals to kinetic energy stored in a rotor, that is equals to half J omega S square at synchronous speed. So now H is equals to what? Kinetic energy stored divided by S. So this value is how much? 800 megajoules divided by 100 MVA machine, 100 MVA. So your answer is 8 megajoules per MVA. That is the answer. Okay. So this is the H value, inertia constant value of the given machine. Okay. Now read the third question. Someone read the question. So what is the unit in which he is asking the answer? Electrical degrees per second square. So the mechanical input of the machine, see what he is telling here, a synchronous machine is there which is supplying a load. So initially it is the mechanical input is 50 megawatt. Electrical output must also be 50 megawatt and the machine is stably operating. The machine is stably operating. Suddenly what happened? Suddenly the mechanical input increased from 50 megawatt to 75 megawatt. Understand? But there is no change in the electrical output. Electrical output is 50 megawatt only. Okay. Now, what is the net accelerating power on the rotor? PA is equals to shaft power minus electrical output of generator, which is 50 megawatt. So this will become 25 megawatt is my accelerating power. 25 megawatt is my accelerating power. But he's not asking accelerating power, rotor acceleration. Rotor acceleration from swing equation again at PA is equals to m into d square delta of t by dt square. So rotor acceleration with respect to stator magnetic field is given by d square delta of t by dt square, which implies acceleration is given by PA divided by m. PA divided by m. Understand? So here we need to get this one. PA value we know. We need m value. What is the formula for m value? For this m value, I am just taking the space.
SH.
So m value will become SH by, you should not write pi f because it will give in radians, but he's asking answers in electrical degrees. So SH by 180 degrees into F. This will give my m value in megajoule second by megajoule second by electrical degrees. This is the unit for my m value. So now if I substitute these values, S value is how much? It is 100 MVA machine. H value is given as 10 megajoules per MVA. 10 divided by 180 into 50. Okay, so this is my m value. So if you substitute in this equation, what you are going to get? PA is 25 megawatt and m value is 1000 divided by 180 into 50. So many megajoule second per electrical degrees. Okay. Now, if you do the simplification, you are going to get its numerical value as, can someone tell?
225 electrical degree
Yeah,
per second square.
225 electrical degree per second square. Sir, why second square came? Because in megajoule, there is megawatt into second. In megajoule, there is megawatt into second. So megawatt gets cancelled. So this second is electrical degrees by second square will be your unit. Understand? I hope you have understood the question. Okay. This is very simple question. If a generator of 250 MVA rating has inertia constant of 6 megajoules per MVA, then the inertia constant on 100 MVA basis. Okay. Now we have to calculate the inertia constant on a base of 100 MVA. Very simple. H1 nu or H nu, we can write it as S into H volt divided by S base. So what is the MVA rating of machine 250? What is its own inertia constant 6? What is the base in MVA 100? So if you divide with this one, you're going to get this value as 15. So 15 megajoules per MVA is the inertia constant on a new base of 100 MVA. So which is the right option? A is the right option. A is the right option. Okay, the next question. Steady state stability of power system is improved by. Steady state stability of power system is improved by. Tell what we can do.
Using double circuit line.
Very
Using
good.
double circuit line instead of
Using double circuit line instead of single circuit line, where the overall transfer reactance becomes half. This is one of the method to improve the steady state stability. Okay. When you come to transient stability, reducing fault clearing time and single pole switching both will help in improving the transient stability. That we'll discuss in transient stability. Okay. If we strictly asking steady state stability, in this given options, double circuit line is the option. Okay. Next, read the next question. Shunt compensation in an extra high voltage line is used to. Shunt compensation, why we use in the transmission lines? Mainly shunt capacitor. Why we use mainly?
power factor correction.
That option is not there.
Quality level.
Improving voltage
Improved
profile.
voltage profile.
Improving the voltage profile. Secondary advantage. The voltage profile and power factor improvement goes hand in hand. The secondary advantages, it also improves the stability, which we have discussed in this instability analysis. Okay, but primary advantage is it improves the voltage profile and it improves the power factor of the system. Okay. The next topic is frequency of oscillations made by the rotor when synchronous machine is subjected to small and gradual variation of load. So here we are discussing the frequency of oscillations made by the rotor when synchronous machine is subjected to small and gradual variation of load. Okay, so now let us consider a synchronous machine. Okay, let the internal reactance of this one is xt. Let the line reactance is this one. It is supplying power to infinite bus bar. Okay. Now, let the shaft power be PS. Electrical output is PE. Okay. Initially, let us assume the shaft power is constant PS naught, PE naught, and both are stably operating. Okay. Now, if I write this PS naught is equals to PE naught is equals to, let us call the PM into sine delta, which is the curve which it is following. So if I draw the power angle curve, power angle curve. It is a curve between electrical output of machine divided by delta. So this is operating so initially let us assume this is a point where it is operating here. Mechanical input PS naught is equals to electrical output PE naught, and this corresponding delta value is delta naught. Delta value is delta naught. So machine is stably operating at this point A. Okay. So delta naught. PS naught equal to PE naught equal to PM sin delta naught, where PM value, this is the peak value. This is the PM value. Understand? Steady state stability. PM is nothing but the steady state stability limit. Now, if there is any disturbance, suddenly load increased without change in the mechanical input. So if there is a small disturbance, let us say, so let the load on the machine increased by delta PE naught. There is a small disturbance, which is the load suddenly increased by a small value, that is delta PE naught, without any change in mechanical input. Without any change in the mechanical input. Understand? So now what happens? Because of this sudden disturbance, definitely the operating point will shift from delta to some other value. Let the operating point has, because there is an increase in load, so this operating point has shifted from delta naught to a slightly higher value. Let us call this delta 1. Slightly higher value delta 1. So this small incremental delta, I am calling it as, this small incremental delta value, I am calling it as delta naught. If you are not able to hear, see this one, I am small incremental value, I am calling it as delta naught. Okay. So now if I write this one, so initially before disturbance, my swing equation is how much? Before disturbance, your m into d square delta naught by dt square is equals to PA, whose value is that? PA value is 0 because mechanical input is equals to electrical output, so accelerating power is 0, m is constant, and delta naught value is a constant. So delta naught value is a constant. So if you differentiate delta naught value, you are going to get 0. Okay. So m into d square delta naught by dt square, that is PA equal to 0. That is before disturbance. Okay. So during disturbance, now what is happening? Because of the sudden incremental load that is coming, the operating point had shifted from point A to say point B. That is from delta naught to delta 1. So that incremental delta value is delta naught. So if I write this one, what I'm going to get? M into d square by dt, m into d square by dt. The change in delta value is delta naught plus delta naught is equals to PS shaft power, which is constant PS naught, minus PE naught plus delta PE naught. Understand? So during disturbance, what is happening? My delta value is increasing from delta naught to delta 1, which I am writing it as delta naught plus delta naught, and my electrical output of the machine is increasing from PE naught to PE naught plus delta PE naught. Why? Because there is a sudden increase in the load. If you expand this equation, if you remember your Taylor series, f of x plus delta x. How you can write this one? F of x naught plus delta x naught. If you remember this formula, how you can write f of x naught plus df by dx at x naught into delta x naught plus d square f by dx square at x naught into delta x naught square divided by 2 factorial, and so on and so forth. So this is the Taylor series. This is the Taylor series for a which we use for linearizing the system about a operating point. So if I use the same thing here, what is my equation here? M into d square by dt square into delta naught plus delta delta naught is equals to ps naught, which is constant, minus pe naught plus delta pe naught. Understand? So if I expand this term according to Taylor series and write this term as, the first term will become m into d square delta naught by dt square plus m into d square delta delta naught divided by dt square, that is equals to ps naught, and I am expanding this term according to Taylor's theorem. So this term, if you expand, you are going to get pe naught plus dpe by into delta delta naught plus d square pe by d delta at delta naught into delta naught whole square. This one, delta whole square by 2 factorial, so on and so forth. Okay. Now if you expand this one, what you're going to get? M into d square delta naught by dt square plus m into d square delta naught by dt square, that is equals to ps naught minus pe naught. If you only consider the first term and neglecting all higher order terms, you're going to get dpe by d delta at delta naught into small delta. Okay. So this term, if you remember from this equation in the previous case, before disturbance, m into d square delta naught by dt square, that is equals to PA value is given by what? PA value in this case is given by PS naught minus PE naught, that is equal to 0. So these two terms are zeros, because before disturbance this term is 0 and this term is also 0. So now if you bring back this equation, you're going to get m into d square delta naught d square delta divided by dt square plus dpe by d delta at delta naught okay, into delta delta is equals to 0. Okay, so let d square by d by dt, if I write it as, if d by dt is equals to k, we can write mk square plus dpe by d delta into delta delta is equals to 0. I can write this equation as this one. So now I can write this one as, it is a second order homogeneous differential equation, so which implies k square, I can write it as minus 1 by m into dpe by d delta. So k square will become minus 1 by m into dpe by d delta at delta naught, So k is equals to plus or minus into minus 1 by m into dpe by d delta at delta naught whole to the power of half. So square root of minus 1, I can write it as j. So k value will become j into plus or minus j into root of 1 by m into dpe by d delta at delta naught value. Understand? So if you can remember your characteristic equation, so your k is equals to, it is in the form of k is equals to plus or minus j omega, So omega, if you compare your omega value will become what? Omega value is equals to root of 1 by m into dpe by d delta at delta naught. So differentiate dp p with the delta and substitute delta naught value at delta naught. This is the frequency of the oscillations made by the rotor when it is subjected to a small disturbance. Okay. So next is, I'll tell you what to remember. No need to worry about this derivation. If dpe by d delta at a delta naught, if it is greater than 0, if dpe by d delta is greater than 0, then what will happen? Your roots k is equals to k value, that is plus or minus j into this value. Your roots are purely imaginary. So with this purely imaginary roots, your machine is marginally stable. Okay, theory says they are marginally stable. But anyhow, in this modeling of swing equation, we have neglected damper windings. So if the damper winding effect comes into picture, then the oscillations will be damped out, so it will become absolutely stable. Okay, if your dp by d delta at a delta naught value is greater than 0, then what you can conclude, your machine is stable for the disturbance. Understand? Okay. So your oscillations will be like this. They will be damped out because of the damper winding effect, which we have not modeled in swing equation. Okay. Suppose if dpe by d delta at delta naught is negative. So again what will happen? One more negative term will come inside this one, so which will make these roots real and j, because j into j, what it will become? It will become either plus or minus value. So your roots are real and opposite. One root is positive, one root is negative. That means one is in the LHP and other is in the RHP. So in this case, what will happen? Your machine is unstable. Understand? So roots, when they become real and opposite, one of the poles is lying in the right half of H plane, then by default you can say that the system is unstable. Okay, so roots are real and opposite, so your machine is unstable. Okay, so we have already discussed this concept in synchronizing power. Synchronizing power is the power that binds the stator and rotor. So before disturbance, if your synchronizing power is positive, then after a small disturbance, the machine will be absolutely stable, considering the damper winding effect. So if before disturbance, your synchronizing power is negative, if your synchronizing power is negative, then even after a small disturbance, the machine will lose the stability. That is the conclusion from this one. And second most important point, what is the frequency of oscillations made by the rotor for a small disturbance is given by omega is equals to 1 by m into dp by d delta at delta naught, so many radians per second, so many radians per second. Okay, discussing the roots, omega is equals to square root of 1 by m into dp by d delta at delta naught. Understand? So the case arises is that if your swing curve, I mean power angle curve is this one, okay, so for any operating point below delta equal to 90, that means for any point on the curve for an angle less than 90, we know that our dpe by d delta at delta naught is positive. Okay, so for any initial angle, that means if delta naught value lies below 90, then your dp by d delta at a delta naught value is positive. That means the machine after a small disturbance will remain stable. The machine after disturbance will remain stable. Suppose if your operating point is any point above 90 before disturbance, that means the machine is operating at any of these pink points before disturbance. Yes, it is stably operating at this point. Yes, it is possible. It is stably operating at delta naught equal to this value, but its condition is like that for any disturbance, either increase in load or decrease in load, then dP by d delta at delta naught value becomes negative, then it will lose stability. Understand? So one thing is like this one. If we keep any ball over here, any marble or a cylindrical ball, so eventually what will happen? It will come down and settle here. So this is a stable system. Okay, wherever you keep the ball, after steady state, it will come down and settle down here. So this is a example for stable system. If you do reverse, suppose my system is this one. So if my operating point is like this, so for any disturbance, whether this side or that side, what will happen? It will lose its stability. So this is the condition when delta naught value is less than 90 degrees. This is the condition when delta naught value is greater than or equal to 90 degrees. Okay, understand? So that is the correlation which I want to tell you so that you can easily understand the steady state stability. So this is so many radians per second. If they ask in heads, 2 pi f is equals to square root of 1 by m into dP by d delta at delta naught. So f value is given by 1 by 2 pi into square root of 1 by m into dP by d delta at delta naught, so many hertz. So this is the frequency of oscillations made by the rotor when it is subjected to a small disturbance. Small or big, depending upon the value of this one, you can get this formula. But remember, one thing you need to remember, in the above formula, if your PE is in per unit, then your M value should also be also in per unit. Understand? So if dP by d delta value is in per unit, then m value also you must substitute in per unit to get the actual value. One should not be per unit, the other should be actual value, then you will be in big trouble. Okay. So I hope you have understood. Only remember this point, frequency of oscillation. Let us